Hi everybody, my name's Kelsey. I'm a graduate dietitian working with Meadow Lake Tribal Council, and today I'm going to show you how to make homemade granola bars. This recipe makes chewy and sweet granola bars that are perfect for snacking on at home or taking on the go. The first thing you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 325 degrees. And once you've done that, we're ready to get started. Here we've got a medium-sized bowl that we're going to mix our dry ingredients into first. So the recipe calls for a mixture of oats, these are rolled oats, and puffed rice. I don't know if you can see these. There's a cup and a half of each of these, equal parts. So I'm gonna add them to the main bowl. And next we'll be adding half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Now that we've got the cinnamon in there, I like to give it a bit of a stir and just incorporate the spice because we don't want it sticking to any of our other ingredients that we're gonna add soon. All right, next up we've got pumpkin seeds that we're gonna add in there. We're gonna do half a cup. There we go. And then today we're also gonna add some raisins. Now you can use any sort of dried fruit you like, whether that's dried cranberries or dried apricots. It's completely up to you, but today we're gonna use raisins. And we're gonna use a quarter cup of those. And then we'll give that a mix. Okay. Okay, so we're done with these dry ingredients for now. We're gonna set these aside, grab a separate, smaller bowl, something like this, and we're gonna mix together our wet ingredients. First to go in this bowl will be half a cup of honey. Oh. Okay. And then the next thing will be 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. And then we need 3 tablespoons of peanut butter. Do your best here. I'm gonna grab a separate spoon to get it off. That's 2, and here's 3. And then lastly, we are going to need a teaspoon of vanilla. Okay. And now we just need to combine all of this. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can see there's still some more mixing I could do, but we're going to put it into the microwave on high for 45-50 seconds, and that's gonna melt everything and make it much more easier to combine. So I put it in for 45 seconds, but I'm just gonna keep an eye on it and check on it, maybe give it a stir halfway through. Okay. So it's all done, it's been heated up, and now you can see it's a lot more liquidy than it was before. We're gonna take this and we're gonna add it to our dry ingredients. Okay. I wanna make sure we get as much of it out as possible. Okay. And now you're really gonna wanna stir this well and make sure that all of the dry ingredients have been incorporated. Make sure it's all nice and wet. You don't want there to be any dry spots in your mixture, or else it's not gonna stick together once it bakes. So you might have to stir for even a couple minutes to get everything nicely mixed. Okay, I think it's looking pretty good. As you can see, everything's wettened. There's no dry spots in here. And now it's ready to go into our pan and get baked. So what I'm using to bake my granola bars is one of these 9x9 cake pans. And I'm using parchment paper. It's not 100% necessary to use parchment paper. It's just gonna help me get the bars out when they're done. If you wanted to use like a flatter baking tray, you could do that too. You might just want to adjust the baking time if you're going to be making thinner bars, flatter, over a larger surface. But this is what I'm going to use today. Another thing to note is if you're not using parchment paper, just make sure that you oil your pan really well, and that'll help the granola bars come out when you're done. Now that we've got it all into the pan, this is a super important step. You want to flatten your mixture down kind of as hard as you can. Really spend some time firmly pressing it into the pan. You don't want there to be a bunch of extra space in between all the pieces in here, because that'll make it a lot more difficult for things to stick together. So I'm just using the bottom of my spoon and pressing things down really, really hard. And you might need to spend a couple minutes doing this as well. But trust me, it'll help your granola bars turn out much better. And when you cut them, they'll stick together. Okay, so it's all pressed down and ready to go into the oven. Here it goes. Okay, we're gonna leave that in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. So I'm gonna set a timer and I'll see you when it's done. Okay, my timer just went off and I think it's looking pretty good. Yeah, around the edges you can see it's browned a little bit. It looks perfect. So we'll take it out. We're not gonna do anything with it right away. We're just gonna let it cool, because if we try to remove it from the pan when it's still hot, it's gonna fall apart. But something that I like to do as soon as I take it out and it is still hot is do another round of pressing on top. I'll show you. I just take a clean spoon and I do some more pressing. That'll stick together a lot more if I get rid of the spaces. And while it's still warm, you can still kind of mold it a little bit, because once it cools down, it'll get hard. That looks pretty good. So now that it's all been pressed down nicely, you'll want to just leave it out to finish cooling, and the bars will harden as it cools down. If you'd like, you can put it into the fridge and that'll make things harden up a lot quicker. Either way though, we'll come back to it in a couple hours once it's hardened up and cut out the bars. Okay, it's been a couple hours and this is now cool to the touch. So we can take it out and start cutting it up. You can see it's one solid piece. All that pressing down that we did really helped mold it together. What I like to do when I cut these up is start out by just cutting the whole thing in half. Just like that. So we've got two smaller pieces, and then I just cut them in half again. And then I think we'll do this in thirds. There we go. And here we have them. They're super yummy. You can taste that hint of peanut butter, the sweetness from the honey, and the raisins make them chewy. They're super good. I can't wait for you to try them. One tip that I might have is keep them in the fridge, and that makes them a bit chewier too. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope you try this recipe. Let me know in the comments how it goes and what you think. Have a great day, everybody.